Hey, this is Walter Lauhi with Keller Williams Freedom. Hey, listen, today we're talking about title companies. What do they do and how it is that they serve you? Check this out. When you buy a home, one of the closing costs that you'll see is for the title service. Now, title can be scary to some people, but I promise it's actually nothing to have nightmares about, and it's absolutely worth paying for. In fact, the title company's role is specifically designed to protect you. It acts as a neutral third party, if you will, that holds the money and important documents, and they ensure that both the buyer and the seller do exactly what they promised. And that protection makes the title service worth its weight in gold. Here's a few ways that the title company protects you. Number one, they prevent fraud. The biggest obstacle to any real estate transaction is trust. The buyer has to trust that the seller will bank their money and hand over the deed when it's time. And the seller has to trust that the buyer will take the deed and give him the money. This level of trust is a lot to ask from two total strangers, creating a big possibility for fraud. However, a title company takes all of that risk away from both parties, making fraud nearly impossible. Okay? The title company protects the buyer from fraud by holding funds until the seller sends the deed, and protects the seller by holding documents until the buyer sends the money. Neither the buyer nor the seller has to trust each other. They only need to trust the title company. Number two, they hold the buyer's deposit. Now, when a home is purchased, most buyers will put down an initial money deposit of about 1%. This earnest money deposit shows the seller that the buyer is actually serious, and it also activates the contracts between the two parties. The title company protects the buyer by ensuring that the seller doesn't keep that deposit if the buyer decides to back out of the deal before the deadlines. It also protects the seller by ensuring that the buyer doesn't reclaim the deposit if the buyer backs out of the deal after the deadline. Number three, they keep payments from going to the seller prematurely. Now, throughout the home buying process, there's a lot of important contingencies that must be met before the seller gets paid. Okay, like the buyer may request for some repairs to be done during the inspection process, or the bank will need to still give final approval on the buyer's loan, or the buyer may even have a home to sell before they agree to purchase the new one. Okay, title companies protect the buyer by ensuring that all of these contingencies are met before the seller gets paid, so that the buyer doesn't pay for a home that doesn't meet their expectations. They also protect the seller by ensuring that all of these contingencies are tracked and documented as they are met, so that the buyer can't come back later and claim, hey, something's wrong, something wasn't done right. Okay, makes sense? Now, I understand that most people, they feel overwhelmed when they see each item in the list of closing costs. I also know that the last thing you want to do is pay more than you have to. But I implore you, using a title company is absolutely imperative because it protects you as a buyer, seller, or both. Okay? At this point, you may be convinced that you may need some guidance around the area of the role of a title company, but you may also be thinking, man, I have no idea where to even start with this whole process. If you're thinking about making a move, I can help you. My team can help you through the whole process. Just shoot me a text message, or you can call me at area code 719-287-9002. Absolutely no pressure, no sales tactics, just the help and the guidance that you need. Please feel free to post any questions, comments, or concerns in the chat box. And I want to thank you again so much for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next episode.